Welcome back to Eric's Drink Whiskey. Miller here.
Simpson here.
And we have a special guest with us, our friend Richard, who we've known for a very, 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 very long time.
Welcome, Richard.
In various facets of life. But Richard is here, and we're going to drink one of his favorite whiskeys. Good old Jack Daniels.
Not just
Absolutely. Not just any Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels Single Barrel Select. This bougie bottle.
It looks bigger than what it is. That's what she said.
I'm gonna say, I noticed your hand is massive, like you're holding it really close to the camera.
Yes, I'm checking the specs of how good the camera is on this phone.
I would actually open mine, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now.
Oh wow, that's a lot more than I thought was in there.
So you have a true fresh bottle over there, Miller.
Fresh bottle. Yep.
Fresh crack.
Eric, why don't you tell us a little bit about what makes Jack Daniels different from just about everything else we drink on this show, and then we'll jump over and let Richard tell us what he likes about Jack Daniels.
So before I dive into what makes it a special whiskey, I got to ask Richard a leading question, Mr. Sloan. What type of whiskey is Jack Daniels?
So this is where I would get flamed by you guys all the time. So, and I guess this kind of goes into a little bit of my introduction and experience with whiskey. I don't know the knowledge and the background of stuff. For me, it's a lot of the flavor, the price points that is just a consumer and not necessarily a avid drinker.
Right.
Those are the things that resonate with me. So honestly, I couldn't tell you, and I've even been to Jack Daniels distillery and done one of their tours. So
all right, so perfect. That was actually a better answer than the gotcha. All right, so as it is labeled, and Tennessee is very proud of this shit. Jack Daniels is in fact a Tennessee whiskey and not a bourbon. That is a huge topic of douchebaggery in the whiskey nerddom world. Is Jack Daniels a bourbon? The short answer: who fucking cares? That's the thing. In long form. So Tennessee actually has a whole separate process that they do to their whiskeys to be classified as a Tennessee whiskey called the Lincoln County method. And that is where they will take the whiskey straight off the still, pre-aging, and then they will run it through sugar maple charcoal for 6 days on a slow drip. And the what else is it? It was 6 days on a slow drip, and the sugar maple charcoal was cured with 140 proof Jack right off the still earlier.
Well, that's Jack Daniels. So the Lincoln County process is just running it through charcoal.
Right.
So Dickel just runs it through charcoal. They don't.
But big distinction before they age it.
Yeah.
Because there are some like Kentucky distilleries and some in general is they'll take the whiskey right out of the barrel and then they'll charcoal filter it, and it's essentially the same thing as putting it through a Brita filter. You know, you're just removing some impurities, and that was a way back in the 70s and 80s for distilleries to sell old whiskey that was too oaky, because back then nobody wanted old whiskey. They wanted 5, 6, 7 years old.
That's mind blowing to me.
Yeah,
yeah.
Old whiskey is a new thing. Old bourbon. Let me phrase it. Old bourbon is a new thing. Like, that's never been a actual like, oh, we want 15-year-old bourbon. No, back in, like I said, at bourbon's peak, in like the 50s and like early 60s, nobody wanted it, and it meets all the qualifications to be a bourbon by TTB bourbon standards. But because Tennessee has their own deal, they want it Tennessee whiskey. They have their own way to do it. It's theirs. So, is it a bourbon? Who gives a shit? What got you into drinking whiskey apart from college binge drinking?
Numbing,
So, fun fact,
numbing
I
the
didn't-
pain.
or a certain camp at a certain POW.
so
ahead.
I didn't actually go to college, so I can't claim any alcohols as like a college party drink for me. For me, Jack Daniels was the working man's drink growing up. I mean, you could go to the store and buy a bottle for 20-ish bucks. Mix it with Coke. It was something to sip after dinner when you're just relaxing from your day, whatever. But for me specifically, I think not only it's the iconic draw to the name and the fame that Jack Daniels has created with their brand, but it's the smooth, but also the very rich flavors that I actually get out of Jack Daniels that I didn't appreciate back in the days of a little bit more party and that kind of stuff. So actually taking time, and a lot of this came from the tour that I did at the distillery, is taking the time, actually swishing it around your mouth and taste the flavors as opposed to I'm just drinking this to drink.
Right.
The nice smooth caramels that you get out of a lot of the drinks that they have, especially the little bit of a pepper spice that comes from it. It's just overall to me a good smooth drink, whether you're mixing it with, let's say, Coke, or if you're drinking like Tennessee honey or something like that and mixing that with a lemonade. It doesn't matter to me which Jack Daniels I'm drinking. It's a smooth drink, whether it's mixed or whether it's straight. And that's, to me, one of the best things that you can have in any type of alcoholic drink.
That was one of the big things that that the Lincoln County method was big with Jack Daniels, was how smooth it is. And I'm not 100% correct on this, but I'm pretty damn sure that Jack Daniels is it's either Jack Daniels or Jim Beam 1 or 2 is the number one leading selling like whiskey in the United States and overseas. It's one. I mean, it's a 1v2, so it's either they're either first or second, but it's a pretty big brand.
Not bad for a couple random guys out of Tennessee,
right?
Yeah, it smells to me like banana bread. Like it's sweet, it's cakey, it's vanilla-y, there's like a little bit of cinnamon. It just smells really good.
It smelled way worse like right out of the bottle. Like I said, I got that little like fresh out of the bar smell, but in the Glencairn, I agree with you, Eric. I get a little like Bananas Foster more than anything. Real kind of that rich desserty banana.
Mm-hmm.
Like overripe bananas, just like that little extra sugar that's coming out. All right.
One of the cool things about the tour is these, they say they, filter it through the charcoal, but what you don't see is the pictures from inside the distillery. And this is one of the places where they tell us we're not allowed to take pictures.
Right.
Because I did a video on Jack Daniel's distillery tour, and they told us specifically, those of you with cameras, put your lens caps on. And you're not allowed to record audio or anything inside this facility. And they've got a couple of different buildings that are that way. But these containers of charcoal are, I'm wanting to say they're like 10 to 12 feet tall. And it's literally a giant metal barrel. Think of like almost a chicken feed silo.
Mm.
And it has a pipe running across the middle of it that has a couple of small sprinkler heads. And that's what your alcohol comes out of and slowly drips down through all the charcoal. So it's actually really cool to watch.
Nice. Now with
awesome.
with this being 94 proof, I can tell you one thing. I've stuck my whole nose in this bastard and I've not got singed.
It's not hot. No.
For 94 proof, like it is not like, it is not offensive at all, but I am tired of talking about it. I want to take a sip.
Do it.
Cheers, gents.
Cheers.
Not what I was expecting.
Go on.
Hold on.
So for me, my initial is it's a very smooth. And then you start getting that little bit of heat towards the back of the roof of your mouth. And then once you swallow, it's in the back of your throat. And then maybe 6-7 seconds later, everything starts cooling off.
Yeah, it's not. Normally, you expect that like burn to hit mid palate and just follow you all the way down, and that doesn't happen. It's also as sweet as it smells. It's not as like overtly sweet, like on your taste buds.
It's dry on the end.
It's got a really nice amount of oak that does dry it out, but it's not like
I saw that.
That was quick.
It doesn't like Eric. You know, we've drank some that like it's so oaky that you're like,
yeah, like the
like
one
a dry ass wine.
The one you fucking like.
Which one?
Oh, Blowhard.
I love Old Blowhard.
It's like
no, that's not super tannicky. That just tastes like you're sucking on popsicle sticks.
Which is wood.
but you know the oversteeped tea.
Yeah, there's a tipping point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is super like well put together, like flavor profile.
So I would classify this as cigar whiskey. Like this is, and I'm not insulting this by saying it's like a 1 or 2 note whiskey, because that's not a bad thing. It's just like this tastes super sweet and super thin on the initial hit on the front of the tongue, and then hits kind of hot on the back of your tongue, and then kind of dissipates, kind of like what you were saying, Richard. It's a little dry on the back end. Now remember, it is a single barrel, so us three, you know, they can get as consistent as they can, but it's a single barrel, so we're at make and call. It is in a parameter of, you know,
right. With none of these being store picks, they're bottled to Jack Daniel's specifications.
But so when I mean by cigar whiskey, so if I'm going to sit out on the porch and have a cigar, I don't know if you've ever had a barrel proof whiskey while smoking a cigar, but it's basically the equivalent of eating Sour Patch Kids and then, you know, and then like taking some Listerine. It's just like, you know, your whole mouth is cut up, and then it just annihilates you. So if you have something that's barrel proof and then you just take a big old drag off a stove, that fire and jar is going to hit your taste buds so hard, and it's just going to hurt. This is very approachable, not offensive at all. Eric, I would put this in the category of one of my it's going to sound terrible. One of my least favorite whiskeys, but not because it's my least favorite whiskey. I'm putting in the category of gift whiskey.
Okay, and I think did we put it on our list? Did we put it on our list of gift whiskeys? No,
because we didn't have it to try it. But I would put it in the category of gift whiskey. It's got the age on it. Like I said, it's about, you know, like 5, 6, 7 years old. It's got the age on it. It's a very ornate looking bottle, and even when you're done with the bottle, it could be a kick-ass decanter. It looks good. I think $50 is reasonable. It's not, you know, it's not insulting for a single barrel product such as this. And man, you know, and more importantly, it doesn't just like punch your face off. Like for a gift whiskey, it's going to be not for the whiskey nerd. This is going to be something somebody's going to be like, oh, well, I got something a little special. I got the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Select. And they're like, oh, shit, that's good stuff. You know, they're going to pour it up, and everybody's going to like it. It's smooth. I'm actually, I will say I am a lot more impressed with this than what I thought it was going to be.
Absolutely. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying as far as Jack Daniels has been known as the working man's drink for years. And to me, especially when you say, you kind of think of this as a gift whiskey and would put it on that list. If there was somebody that I knew enjoyed just like regular old number 7, if Christmas time or their birthday's coming up, you're getting a bottle of this just because it is Jack Daniels. It's that brand that everybody knows the flavor profile of,
Right.
but it is that little step up from, a $20 bottle of old number 7.
Yeah. And you are to Jack Daniels, and Eric can back me up on this. You are to Jack Daniels as I am to Wild Turkey. Like I'm a Wild Turkey fanboy. I love Wild Turkey. It hits my palate as much as anything. So, and I would do the exact same thing that you said, like, or Eric would do to me. Wild Turkey 101 is one of my go-tos. The Russell's Reserve Single Barrel is one of my favorite whiskeys of all time. He would get me a Wild Turkey. He would get me a Russell's Reserve Single Barrel as a gift. That, it's $50-$60. It's that same type of deal. And like I said, I, just like you, thought Wild Turkey was the working man's whiskey. That, but that's just damn good whiskey.
Absolutely.
I don't know that I call it a 2-note whiskey. It's not a complex, like the sweetness that you get in the vanilla and the caramel is just that. There's no like deeper notes. The oak is nice. The spice is nice. It's a bit pricier than what I would normally consider a daily drinker, but this is like flavor wise and proof wise, it's something that regardless of the day, you could come home, pour a glass, and not have to be in one mood or the other to enjoy it.
I don't think I've had a 94 proof whiskey that tasted this smooth. I'm just saying.
I mean, yeah, I'm looking at my like daily drinker shelf, and I've got Makers, Wild Turkey, Evan Williams, the Jim Beams. And it's all of those have a fair amount of burn on them at only 90 proof. So that this comes in and you've got a little bit of something there. But that it's 94 proof and you can like just sit and sip it. We're not worthy. It's a very well crafted whiskey.
And that's what I think, I think Jack Daniels kind of falls in that category of Makers. They're going for consistency. They have their flavor profile. They have their people that they want to sell it to, and they kind of have some variations. Like I said, obviously the barrel proof, the Sinatra and whatnot, as does Makers. But there's two things, that those couple things that they have in common. Jack Daniels is not age stated. Makers is not age stated, and they haven't really have been. As far as I'm concerned, they have a single barrel product. They have a cast strength product. None of those are really age stated. They have some of their little limited releases that they do with messing with the wood. Makers does that. Jack does that. And they're findable.
What I like about it is, because I've had old number 7 plenty of times. I've had the barrel proof plenty of times. It is very clearly the same expression of whiskey, just at different proof points. Like I think, and Eric can attest to this, you got a lot of whiskeys that like when you change that proof point 10 or 20 points, you're talking like a whole different drinker. I think like Larceny by itself is kind of spicy and everything. But you kick it up to barrel proof, that shit was almost undrinkable.
It was awful.
Elijah Craig is one. I love Elijah Craig. Elijah Craig barrel proof is a completely different drinker. But no, the single barrel to the single barrel proof is just this nice step up in proof. You got a little bit more depth of flavor, but you can tell it's the same whiskey at heart. And I think that's really good on Jack Daniels for creating that consistency across like 50 proof points, essentially from 80 all the way up to 130.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a bunch of weird ones. Like hell, this one 94 is an odd proof.
Well, that's what it tasted good at.
Oh, I didn't argue with them.
No,
I'm sure Mr. Daniels and his band of miscreants, don't ask for Drink Sinatra's opinion. They won't drink, not drinks. Anyway, so Mr. Miller, where can they find us? Oh, well, before they say that, Richard Sloan, my friend of many, many, many years, thank you for coming on and joining us and drinking with us.
Absolutely. I appreciate the invite. It's always a pleasure.
And also my friend of many years.
Mr. Miller, where can they find us?
I'd almost forgot we were filming. We were having so much fun. You can find us on Instagram. That handle is at Eric's_drink_whiskey. Posting all kinds of stuff there. We also newly, over the last month or so, have a Facebook page. It is also Eric's Drink Whiskey. Y'all are already on YouTube, so you know what to do here. Like that video, share it with your friends, and hit subscribe so you get notified of new stuff. And then, Mr. Simpson, we also have a podcast, do we not?
Yes, sir, we do. So if you check on Shout Engine and Apple Podcast, we are EDWNCF. That stands for Eric's Drink Whiskey Non-Chill Filter. If you want to hear the crazy banter, conspiracy theories, and general BS that we talk throughout this, unedited and uninhabited, this is the audio for you.
Uninhibited, you redneck hick.
Don't make fun of my accent.
Uninhabited. Nobody's there.
There's people who live here.
I meant uninhibited. I just redneck. Anyway.
That's that Jack Daniels effect.
Yes. Join us on Shout Engine and Apple Podcasts, and that is EDWNCF.
Well, this has been fun, gentlemen. We'll have to follow it up with some more Jack Daniels based reviews and maybe some other Tennessee whiskeys like Dickel in the future. So thank you, Richard. And until next time,
cheers.
Cheers.